One of the topics that comes up often is pay inequality, which is when a person who is less skilled or less qualified for a job gets paid more than the person who has more experience and more qualified for the job. Now, I've been on both sides of this, where I got paid less than I'm supposed to, and I've hired people for more than I should have. And because of that, I think I'm qualified to speak on this topic today. So let's do that. So the way this usually starts is an employee finds out how much another employee is being paid. Maybe somebody new who joined the company, and you've been with the company for years and years, and you find out that they're making, $15,000 more than you do. And of course, people get upset. Why is it this person? They don't know how to do anything, and I've been with the company. I can do all these things. Why are they getting paid more than I do? How do I go about confronting my boss? What should I do? I deserve more than that person is getting. So what can I do? First, quick story about how I found out that I was getting paid less than I should have. So this was years ago, and I only had a few years of experience of lit support. I was what I would consider supporting the whole company. I was making load files, burning CDs, doing print jobs, fixing printers, fixing scanners, providing IT support. I was doing all kinds of stuff. And one time, people from accountant asked me to rebuild some computers or something like that, and I had to install accounting software. So when I installed the software, of course, I had to make sure everything works properly. So I took a little bit of extra time confirming that all data is accessible. And while I was doing my testing, I found out that another person in the company who was basically just sitting all day and just flipping through pages back and forth was making almost double of what I was making. Now, he was actually a really nice person, an older gentleman, and I wasn't really mad at him for anything, but it was my first experience with seeing such a big range of salary versus how much I would perceive at that time I was doing. I was running around, I was doing all kinds of stuff, and this person was just relaxing, drinking a cup of coffee, and flipping through pages to do document coding. So that was my first experience seeing something like that. Well, now I'm a manager, and now I hire people, and now I had to do basically the same thing. I had to pay people different amounts of money where they may or may not deserve it. So why does it happen? Well, first of all, your salary in America, in lit support, is usually negotiated. So when you come in for an interview, you talk about your experience, you talk about what you can do, and then you discuss what kind of salary you want to have, and then you have basically back and forth with the company, see what they're willing to give you and what you're willing to accept. And it's a process of negotiation. So if you are better at negotiating, you can get a better deal. You can also negotiate things that are not necessarily salary related, but other additional expenses that aren't directly salary, but the company could possibly write off as a business expense, so things could be put into sort of other categories. You're still getting something extra that is valuable, that is monetary, but not directly salary. So people who can negotiate, they can do a better job at negotiating. And if you just come in very shy, sitting down, and they'll try to lowball you and give you the lowest number possible. And if you're not into negotiating, you'll just take it and you'll wind up being the lowest paid employee in the department. Now, in my experience, negotiating wasn't what made the big difference in salaries. It would go like maybe a couple of thousands up and down. But the biggest difference in salaries was when we were trying to steal a person from another company, or hire, or whatever you want to call it. So if, let's say, you have a department full of people and they're all making $60,000, and you have a same department in a different company and they're making $60,000, and you hear like, oh, this person's not happy or they want to move, well, you need to offer them something more than 60 in order to incentivize for them to come over. And the companies I worked at have made deals like that, where they give person, let's say, $80,000, and the person came over, and then turned out to be that person wasn't really good. They were like, okay at best. But you already made the hire, you already offered them the money, and now they're here. So now you kind of have no choice but to pay them that salary, and they are there. They're not the best employee, but they're making the most amount of money. And this is a real world situation where now you hire that person and you don't know what to do. Do you fire them and try to find somebody else? Do you keep looking? And a lot of companies, they were just like, all right, I guess we spent so much time looking, we finally hired. I guess we have to just deal with it. Let's just get through the work, we need a person. And they kind of leave it like that. Fine, just leave that person, he's getting paid more. Just get things done. We just need projects moving along. We can't wait to, get another person, or we don't want to spend money on a recruiter or something like that. Just keep it going. And that's why some companies would leave it like that. Now, another situation we had is where we had an employee who was with the company for a really long time. And we didn't want to lose that employee. They were reasonably good. And that's why they were getting small increases year after year. So not much, but over the years, it would all be added up. And after 10, 20 years, I think that person was there over 20 years, their salary was way higher than everyone else, and they weren't the best employee, but the company didn't really want to lose the person. So it's kind of like one of those balances where you have a really senior employee who knows a lot of the company's history, and the company doesn't want to lose them, but they've maxed out their salary and they're being paid more than everyone else. And it's kind of like that situation where you're stuck. If you don't give that person any more incentives, bonuses, some kind of things they can expense, there's a chance they're going to quit. And the company doesn't want them to quit. So you kind of have that situation where you have to maintain that relationship that's kind of tense, I would say. And finally, all this is made more difficult by not having enough qualified candidates for lead support. There is no line of people outside your office waiting to get hired. You really need to go through a number of people before you find someone you like, someone you can afford, or you decide to train someone. And because of that, companies tolerate this pay inequality more and more, because once you have somebody, even if they cost too much, they're just willing to leave them there, because now that they know about special projects, they know about this, they know about that. So as unfair as it is, that's what the situation is. So pay inequality is an unfortunate fact that we have to deal with, especially in lead support. It is very difficult to hire people and keep them all at consistent pay. It's almost impossible. So that's all I got for this video. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube, and I will see you on another.